I'm going to read a short story entitled Seeing Eye to Eye by yours truly, Don Scheer. Jenny was relieved that this was going to be her last appointment ever with Dr. Gruen. He was always cold, uncaring, and unfriendly. Exactly the kind of physician she didn't want as her OB/GYN professional. She still recalled how insulting he was to her years back when she was trying to cope with her son's drug addiction, and she asked his advice on some matter. Although she could no longer recall what she had asked, she remembered deeply his abrupt reply, "Don't ask me for anything outside of my immediate obstetrical field. I'm not your psychiatrist." Jenny was hurt by his callous response, but continued going to Dr. Gruen because he was the only professional in his field in the small town where she lived. Happily, Dr. Gruen would soon no longer be the only game in town. A new OB/GYN physician had moved into the area and was setting up shop. The new doctor was a female who had a reputation for caring about her patients, someone with a pleasing manner to go along with her impressive Ivy League medical training. Dr. Edith Marshall would begin seeing patients within 6 weeks, and Jenny had already set up an appointment with her. She was almost done with Dr. Gruen. For her last appointment with him, she wanted to say goodbye in a very special way. An idea occurred to her that she thought would even the score for the years of rough, embarrassing examinations by Dr. Gruen and his cold hands and manner. She wanted to do something to the doctor that would make his hideous toupee leap off his head. And what a toupee it was! Despite his high fees and heavy patient load, he could have afforded the best of hair pieces. Dr. Gruen's toupee looked to Jenny like some muskrat had landed on his head and died there. He couldn't have spent more than $4 on that rug, Jenny thought, as she remembered looking at the top of his head during each visit, just before he ducked beneath the privacy sheet which his nurse draped over Jenny's knees as she lay on the examining table. God, how she hated that uncaring man with his ridiculous wig. Before she left her home for her appointment, she retrieved a very realistic glass eye, which she kept in her jewelry box. She had purchased it years ago for a Halloween party, and kept it because it was expensive, and because she admired it as a piece of art. The detail within the blue pupil was remarkable, and if one looked at the eye carefully, one could see the faint redness of tiny capillaries. It was a vivid piece, exquisitely crafted. Before Jenny arrived at the doctor's office, she inserted the glass eye in her vagina, and when Dr. Gruen began his examination and used his speculum, he placed his eye on his end and came eye to eye with Jenny's glass eye on her end. When he saw the blue eye staring at him, Dr. Gruen let out a very loud, unprofessional scream, dropped the speculum, and raced out of the examining room, shouting to his nurse, "My God, it's an eyeball, I tell you! Oh, my God!" Dr. Gruen sped through the crowded waiting room, screaming, "It's an eyeball! Help me, God! It's an eyeball!" He opened the front office door and raced down the hallway for the staircase, his muskrat flopping up and down on his head as he ran. One could hear muffled screaming as he fled down the stairway. Inside the examining room, Jenny innocently asked the nurse, "Whatever is the matter with Dr. Gruen?" "I don't rightly know," said his office nurse, looking pale and shaking her head repeatedly. "I've never seen him act like that." "Is he coming back?" Jenny asked as she got dressed, discreetly removing the glass eye and placing it in her purse. "I don't rightly know," said the flustered nurse. "I hope so." "Well, I have to leave for another appointment. If you ever see Dr. Gruen again, please give him a message for me." "Sure," said the nurse, who was still trying to compose herself. "What's the message?" "Tell the good doctor that I hope he's well, and I'm going to keep an eye out for him."
Well, you done me and you bet I felt it. I tried to beat you, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Before the cool done run out, I'll be giving it my bestest, and nothing's gonna stop me but divine intervention. I reckon it's again my turn to win some or less.